Well, hey, howdy, hey, and welcome to Move Early, Move Often. I am Blake Martin. It is Twisted Tuesday, and on Twisted Tuesdays, we think about things that have to do with mobility, stretching, and that sort of thing. So, with that in mind, what I want to think about today is this idea of where we are now versus where we want to be a little bit later. So in 8 hours at the end of your workday, or if you're in the middle of your workday, and 8 hours a little bit later down the road when you're back doing, kind of more home things, even if you didn't actually leave the home environment today. What is it? What can you do that will get you from here to there? And we have to be aware that whatever we choose throughout the day, it's going to have these little impacts that will incrementally change each moment. This comes from chaos theory. There's this idea, it's called sensitivity to initial conditions. So let's set up some good initial conditions so that where you are 8 hours from now can be different than it might have been had you not done this. So let's start. You're going to need a mat. You're going to need a chair. I'm going to start my timer, or else I'll go forever. I'm just doing stuff that I want to do to get myself moving today. And if you have been sitting at the desk, then this is really good. So first thing that we need to do is we need to kind of get the blood flowing in our bodies a little bit. We want to increase the movement of the synovial fluid in our joints and just get our joints just moving. So let's just start with a big pandiculation stretch. Just reach up, two arms, kind of like a yawn. You inhale and you hold it. Oh, lots of tension. And then melt. Oh, let the air out. Let's do 3 of those all together. So we've got 2 more. Big inhale. You can yawn if you want. I won't stop you. Oh, I love yawning. And melt. 1 more. Oh. Reach a little bit in each direction and melt. All right. So now we're going to do like a gorilla swing. So just pulse your knees just slightly. And we're just going forward and back. Like one of those rides at the fair that eventually goes over the top. So what I want you to do is I want you to just increasingly swoop. 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 If you're like me, your knuckles are eventually going to drag along the ground. And go all the way around this time. And down and the other way. And back again. And forward. And 1 more time back. And 1 more time forward. So we've just worked to get our arms moving, a little bit of movement in our back, just loosening up. We're thinking about how can we get more mobility. And so we're just going to do high marching. And we're getting the blood flowing. Really get those knees up. But it's just a march. It's not aggressive. It's not about really, we're not trying to get the heart rate really up, but we are trying to get blood everywhere. All right, and let's do spider stomps. So go to the outside, back to the inside, to the outside. So you're making a big circle with your knee. Your knee is making an arc. If you had a crayon on your knee, you could draw a rainbow on the wall. But in the meantime, you are also stomping if you're afraid of them. Spiders, otherwise, you're carefully avoiding spiders. These might actually be spider avoidance techniques. Depends on your relationship with spiders in your part of the world. How can I say? Who am I to say? Who am I to judge? All right, so just kind of shake it out. Just kind of let it loose. Okay, think about where you want your body to be. Already my body is better than it was. like even 3 minutes ago. Seriously, I'm just feeling some warmth in through everything. All right, good. Got some movement going on. Okay, so take your chair for balance and stability. And we're going to start with our feet, and we're just going to turn our toes over. We're going to turn our toes over. We're going to kind of press them into our mat. And I want you to press them gently. We're thinking about pressing them at about a level 3. Level 3, and just press and hold, and then release. Let's do the other foot. At level 3, if you imagine that 10 is the most stretching that you could possibly do, this is super gentle at this point. We're going to do 3, 5, and 7 for everything. Let's go back to our first foot. And let's do 5. So it's about halfway. Not the max, not super light, it's a little bit more. And you might want to roll back and forth a little bit. Now if you're like me, as you go longer in this stretch, sometimes you might cramp. So just, you can stretch the foot in the opposite direction too. All right, 5 on the opposite foot. The other thing I find as I'm doing this stretch and I explore it, is I notice all these little spots in the bottom of my foot that start coming alive. Well, let's do a 7 now. 7. So 7 level stretch. It's not the furthest you can possibly go with a stretch, but it's a little bit further. All right. And 7 on the opposite foot. You feel a little bit of life coming back into that foot? It's good. Good. All right. With our chairs, we're just going to step back and step up to our chair. Step back again. We're just stepping at this point, and we're going flat back over, coming back to our chair. We're not really even going into the stretch yet. And this is good. These are all recipes. These are antidotes for sitting. Step back to your chair. And now let's just step back. A gentle 5. We're going to hold this. So you're not really going deep. You shouldn't feel this. 3. A gentle 3. And wiggle your hips a little bit. See if there's places where, if you just move a little bit, you can find, even within that 3, differences in the stretch. Let's come back up. Shake out your arms. Hands on the back of the chair again. Let's go back. We're doing a 5 this time. So a little deeper. Little deeper. So you'll notice that we're incrementing. We're just going a little bit further. And we're trying to take these initial conditions and build on them. Coming back to standing. And now a 5. 7. I'm having troubles with my prime numbers today. Okay, so it's a little bit of an issue for me. And now we're going into a 7 on this particular flat back over stretch. Now you might feel this actually in different places. I feel a little bit under my armpits as I elongate there, and I feel it a little bit behind my knees too. All right, and let your toes be open. And coming back. All right. Now with your hands still on the back of your chair, you're going to step back with your foot, and you're just going to reach back with your heel and a straight leg. And you're doing kind of, you're just extending your foot back and trying to reach your heel to the ground. Okay, so your knee needs to be almost completely straight, and your heel is reaching backward to the ground. And we're just doing a 3. Doing a 3 at this moment in time. So you're not going really deep, and explore that a little bit. All right, I'm going to wiggle my heel around, making little circles with my heel. Just finding out what's available and what's there. All right, bring your feet back together. Reach your opposite foot back. Straight leg, nice and tall. Have a neutral spine up top. and wiggle your heel around. This is still just a 3. Reaching back, and get it back far enough so that you're getting a little bit of a stretch down the back of your calf. Oh, that's refreshing. I'm liking that. And feet together. And opposite leg back. Going for 5. Reach that out a little bit. Nice and tall in your body. The crown of your head reaches towards heaven. And your heel is reaching to the opposite side of the room. And let's bring that back together. Switch it up. Nice 5 on this leg. And you can explore a little bit. I'm wiggling my heel to find more. Finding more places. And I don't have as far to go on my left leg as I do on my right. So I'm just aware of that. All right. And now the 7. Really reach that heel back. Try to press it into the floor. You can actually draw your toes forward a little bit further if you want to get a different part of the stretch. I'm actually feeling this a little bit anteriorly here in my one hip flexor and the fascia, the tissue that's in the front of my leg. Reaching my 7. Yeah, I'm not maxing it out. I'm just reaching nicely and gently. All right. And now we're going to go down. We're going to go into a lunge. So opposite leg back, tall, and you want your knees to be aligned with your toes and just stretching forward. Again, this is just a 3. So not really going super deep at this moment. And remembering, let's come up, switch. You don't have to come all the way up to switch. You can probably just match your knees. That was craziness, Blake. And I'm kind of more in a 5 on this leg than in a 3, so I'm going to back off a little bit. I'm bringing my knee in just a little bit closer. But again, what we're doing is we're thinking about where do we want to be in 8 hours? How do we want our bodies to feel? Because 8 hours becomes 8 days, becomes 8 weeks, becomes 8 years. Smash knees becomes a lifetime. Each of these moments that we choose to do something, going into our 5 now, each of these moments, they add up. They influence the next moment. So explore your 5 a little bit here. How is that? Now, part of having our knee up like this is it keeps our pelvis neutral so that we don't hyperextend our low back. So this is part of the benefit of this stretch. All right? Match knees. Swap. And reach into this stretch. Nice and tall. Full spine. Don't go crazy here. If you're like me, I always tend towards the extreme end of the stretch right away. Even though I've told myself 5, I end up doing a 12. Matching my knees and going into a 7. And part of the way that you can stay out of going all the way up past 10 is just to do little explorations. Come into the stretch and out of it. Move into it and out of it. Oh, my chin was really creeping up there too. I'm trying to be aware of that. Nice tall spine. Look at me. Look at my posture, Mom. My mom doesn't care about my posture. It's because she's deceased, but that's a different story. And swapping knees. My wife is laughing in the background. She understands. All right, nice and tall. Nice and tall. Be tall here as you explore this last 7. All right, so now, coming to standing, we've had this moment where we've kind of gone from this very loose movement to a very constrained kind of activity. So we stretched out the tops of our feet and activated the bottom of our feet. We looked at our calves and our legs and our hip flexors. Now we're going to go backwards. We're going to return to our spider stomps, and then we're going to do our gorilla swings, and we're just going to work backwards, all right? So again, just very loose, very small spider stomps or spider avoidance movements. Make it a little bit bigger and quite loose. Think about how loose you want your hips to be later tonight when you're dancing or making tofu, a roast of tofu, or whatever it is the kids eat these days. Back to center, and big, loose movements, very loose. Try to be as light as possible here. Feel the juiciness of the hip and the knee as they're moving. It's different, isn't it? I'm feeling a big difference personally. That's, maybe that's just me. Let's do our little gorilla swings. Just start with small ones, pulses. Bigger. And all the way around. And all the way around the other way. Let's do that 3 times. Forward again. Back. Last time forward. And last time back. And loosen up. All the looseness. Now, I'm feeling this kind of heat in through my chest. And I'm just going to take a moment here because I didn't really focus on my arms, but if I've been sitting at my desk all day or if I'm about to sit at my desk all day, I want to be aware of what my arms are doing. Well, let's just open up. We're going to interlace our fingers and just open our chest, open your heart toward the heavens. Lift your chin just slightly. Don't crunch at the back of the head. This is about having the scapula be really open. And draw the shoulders down. Try to bring your hands down as low as you can. Below your tailbone if possible. There. Just shake those out a bit. Yeah, I totally forgot to focus on my arms there. But feel the looseness in your hips. Think about that. Now, we could spend more time working on the hips. It would take a lot more time to get there. But what I want you to think about is where do you want things to go in terms of your body? Where do you want to end up? And how might that influence the rest of your day and the rest of your evening and just even your health for the rest of your life? So you've moved early. I hope you remember to move often, and I hope you have a really great evening. Take care.